What's up, everybody? How are you? I am back on the mic on the ones and twos tonight. That rhyme. I wasn't even trying to. Hey, everybody. Let me let everyone know, give Facebook its time to do what they do, and let me share the broadcast to let everybody know that I'm live. I'm still here. I'm late. I'm 3 minutes late, and y'all know I don't do late. I don't do late, and I don't do too early. Here I am. I'm live. Yay. So let me share the broadcast and let everybody know that I am live, and I'm going to get started here soon. Welcome back to day 6 of Wine with Jay, my journey to loving me. I'm going to get started here soon. And after you're done watching this broadcast, share it with someone. Don't share it now because there may be technical issues and you won't be able to get back in and you'll miss all the goodies that I'm going to give out tonight. Hey, Adrian. So don't break and share it right now. I just shared it to my page, but after the broadcast, go back in and hit share and share it with your community. I think that sharing is caring. Got that from somebody. Might as well. Why reinvent the wheel? It's already there. Just tell it, share it, give it to somebody else. So I want to thank you all for being here. I am not going to prolong because I'm late. So I apologize for being late, but I'm here and I still have some good information to share with you. Hopefully that, the things that I've been sharing on my past lives is helping you in some way or another, because this is a journey to, loving yourself. And so let me introduce myself while I'm babbling, because I have that tendency to do that. I am Jay, founder of Matters of My Heart, and Matters of My Heart is an emotional support program for adult survivors of childhood, domestic, and or sexual abuse. And so what we help you is transition from a place of hurt to emotional healing. Everything that I talk about in my books or radio show or whatever effort that I'm doing and that I'm putting forth, it is about emotional healing because it's so important in my life, because I'm so connected to it, So you know what they say, each one, teach one, reach one, right? So whatever you learn, teach it and pass it along to somebody else. And that's basically the gist of what I do. I learn something and then I share it. So, I decided, and I hope that you have your favorite beverage with you as you watch this broadcast. And for those who are going to watch the replay, thank you for watching the replay. Those viewing numbers are going up each and every time I do a live video. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It really does make me feel good that someone is listening to me. I'm not just babbling and talking to myself, but I really am reaching someone, and I want to thank you for, giving me that opportunity to share my life with yours. So appreciate you. And to that, I toast. So tonight's broadcast is really about self-medicating. During this month, I'm taking time to kind of share with you the things and the processes that I've gone through, things that I've done to help me move from that place of darkness to this place of loving myself, this place of emotional healing, the journey that I'm currently on. I would be lying if I told you that it was easy, but it's not easy, because it's not. It's hard as hell. But what's my alternative? Do I just stay in this dark place and continue to live in pain, or do I do the work and love again and live on purpose? The alternative is way worse than what I'm doing right now. And so in order for me to to have gone from that place of darkness to the place where I love myself, I first had to love myself. I had to I had to find myself worthy to receive love, to even receive God's love, because I had gone through a period where I felt like God didn't love me, that I wasn't even worthy of his love. And so I had to go through some serious healing to get to the place where I am now. The title of the broadcast is true, that I self-medicated for about 10 years. And that self-medicating started right after I started remembering what happened to me as a kid. Now, I remember up until that point, and I was in my late 20s, up until that point, I remembered the physical abuse part, but I had completely rid myself of memory of the sexual abuse. And those memories started coming back with a vicious whatever. It came back with the vicious, when I was in my late 20s. And I started remembering everything to the detail of how the room smelled, what was playing on the television. Like, it was really, really detailed. And it shattered my then world. It shattered my then normalcy. And so I had started just spiraling out of control with emotions, just angry and depressed and sad and lonely and, isolating myself from the world because I was depressed, and so some of the common things that people do, like last night I talked about cutting. I talked about emotional cutting. I had done some emotional cutting on myself then because I had really, really low self-esteem. And so I didn't value myself. I didn't value my body. And, I was very promiscuous, as a young girl. I didn't use protection when I was having sex with all of these men because I didn't value myself. I didn't value my body. I didn't care if I live or died. Would much rather died, so I would be put out of my misery. But that's how, like, everything in my life was just so out of control. And so the only thing that I did have control over was the alcohol and the prescription drugs, because that numbed me. And so let me go back a little bit before I start telling you all the things I've done. Self-medication is when someone uses either alcohol or drugs to mask an emotional or psychological pain, right? And so a lot of times, like for me in my situation, because of things that happened to me as a kid, and even some of the things that happened to me as a young adult, some of the ways that people treated me caused me to go into this deep, deep depression. And I was a young single mother at the time. My daughter was 1. And I had gone through, like, I was homeless for months. I, was kicked around from place to place. I had to live with friends. It was just, I didn't have a job. I lost a couple of jobs. I couldn't keep a job because I was a single mom and I couldn't balance the life of, daycare and working and all of these bills and responsibility. Like, it was so overwhelming for me, while at the same time, just so completely unhappy and not knowing why. And so one of the things that I was addicted to early on was prescription drugs. And it was mainly sleeping drugs or any type of drug that would make me fall asleep. If I went to the doctor, I had any kind of surgery and they gave me Tylenol 3 or Percocet, I would take those and pretend like I was hurting so I can get them, the prescriptions refilled. Or I would borrow pills from my friends, or my family or whoever. It didn't matter as long as I could get the pill. And as long as the pill would make me go to sleep, that's all I wanted. That was self-medicating because I didn't want to face the real issue. And the real issue was I had been hurt and I didn't know how to deal with it. Now, mind you, and I said this last night on my broadcast last night, the reason why I self-medicated is because I didn't want anyone else to know. I was living this double life. I didn't want anyone's opinion. I didn't think that they would believe me, and I didn't think that they could care for me. I thought that they would just hurt me all over again. So in order to protect myself from the outside world, I barricaded myself. Mentally, I barricaded myself from everyone. And so self-medicating, with the alcohol, drinking until I pass out, taking the prescriptions pill, sometimes both, because all I wanted to do was sleep. And all I wanted to do was sleep without the nightmares. And so I found a way to do that, which was through the alcohol and the drugs, the excessive alcohol and drug, the abuse of the alcohol and drug use. It's very important that you understand that I abused the use of alcohol and drugs and prescription drugs. I didn't use it in a way where I do now, where I can have a glass of wine and I'm not emotional, and it's not tied to an emotion, and this is not tied to me trying to fix or hide or mask anything. It's for pure enjoyment because I like the way it tastes. And this one is pretty good tonight. This one is some Sauvignon Blanc kind, but it's, I don't know, my boyfriend got on this wine thing, and so now he gets bottles of wine mailed here. Have you guys heard of something like that? It's like really weird, but anyway, some good wine. It came in the mail and I'm enjoying all of it. So, but there's a difference between, having a casual drink versus drinking to get rid of your feelings or to get rid or ignore your feelings. And so that was what I was doing on my journey back then to try to mask the mental things that were going on with me. Mental meaning the anxiety, the depression, the not being able to sleep, insomnia. I had that really, really bad. I couldn't sleep because when I did fall asleep, I would have nightmares about, being a kid again, or some bad thing that happened, or someone was always chasing me. I used to have those dreams all the time where someone was always chasing me with a knife and they were trying to kill me. And I was always running through this house that never had a front door or a back door, or never had, it was just like endless rooms. And I was just running from room to room to room, trying to escape this killer who was after me. So I would have those types of dreams. And now that I think about it, those dreams really was, I think so, Adrian. I think it is. It was some kind of wine club that my boyfriend signed up for. And so every month he gets a shipment of wine, bottles of wine. It's like 12 bottles or something like that. It's really crazy. But he's like, I need to fill my wine rack up. Whatever. and so he blamed it, Adrian. He blamed it on getting it for me. Getting the wine for me. But yeah, okay. So going back to my journey back then, last night I talked about, having unhealthy coping mechanisms. And one of them is cutting. Another one is the alcohol and the drugs, self-medicating, because what self-medicating does, it takes your mind off of the real issue. And so my How was I able to come out of that period of self-medicating? One, I found a really good therapist. And mind you, my first therapist that I went to didn't cut it for me. So it took kind of going through someone that I found that really resonated with me. She understood what I was going through, and she listened, but I don't know, we connected more. I connected more with her. I can't talk about what I've gone through with everyone because it's difficult for me. And so I need to feel like whatever I'm saying is in a safe space and I'm not going to be judged. And the therapist that I'm with now, I've actually been with her for almost 5 years. And she's never judged me. And I've given her plenty to judge. Like if I was her, I would have kicked me out a long time ago, but she doesn't judge me. She lets me come in and she lets me rant and rave. If I need to curse, she lets me curse. If I need to cry, she lets me cry. If I want to laugh, she lets me laugh. Like whatever I'm feeling, she allows me to express it. Because for years, one of the things that, and this is really predominantly in my family, one of the things that we were taught is, one, you don't talk about what happens in this house, but you don't also express your feelings. And so I don't know if that's a Black cultural thing where like you can hit your child and tell them to shut up. So basically you're saying suppress your feelings. Like, I know I just hurt you, but you can't express that hurt. So shut up and get yourself together and go sit down in the corner. And so what we're teaching them is, what we're teaching our children is, yes, you feel pain, but you're not allowed to express it. So I may get a lot of people who disagree with me on that, and that's fine. That's cool. I'm okay with that too. You know, I used to be a people's person. I used to try to please everybody. I used to try to make everyone like me because it was so important for me to fit in. And then so when I didn't fit in, I was extremely disappointed. I was extremely hurt. My feelings were hurt. And so I resorted back to what I was comfortable with, the alcohol and the drugs, because they never disappointed me. People disappointed me. The alcohol and the drugs didn't. Did you catch that? Did you really catch that? See, there's a reason for self-medicating. There's a reason why people do that. Is because they feel like there's no one in their lives that can really listen to them without criticizing or judging them. People are so judgmental. I'm not even going to get started on the church. But people are so judgmental. And when someone has been hurt from trauma, and they're really sensitive, like it's like a sore. You have to be very careful how you treat that person because you don't know what they're doing behind closed doors just to cope with being around you, just to cope with being out in public. It's easy for someone who has never been hurt before to say, get over it. I apologize now for the noise that you hear in the background because my family is active again. But it's okay because it doesn't bother me anymore. So it's easy for someone, well, I lost my train of thought now. Damn it. I'm sorry, Adrian, I'm trying to see your comments and I'm missing it. I missed your comment, Adrian. I'm so sorry, honey. So anyhow, the point of tonight is to really talk about the whole self-medicating thing and why people do it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Self-medicating, like, you know, there's a connection between obesity and depression. It either obesity can lead to depression or depression can lead to obesity. And I found in my life and in people around me that food is another self-medicating mechanism. People eat out of comfort so that they can mask the pain that they feel on the inside. If they're depressed, if they are lonely, if they are grieving, some people find comfort in food. Like, what is that thing that gives you the most comfort when you are down, when you are grieving, when you are in so much pain, when you're dealing with, life, when you're dealing with heartbreak? What is that thing that gives you the most comfort? And you know it's not good for you, but you tell yourself and you convince yourself, I need this. For me, it wasn't food, but it was alcohol and it was prescription drugs. And so because I know that I was once addicted to that, I'm very careful in how I intake it now. And so when I have my days, and I told you guys, like in maybe my first live or something, I still have days when I'm down and when I'm like in a real funk and I just don't want to be bothered with anybody. When I'm in those days, I don't drink and I don't take medication. I'm on a daily medication now for anxiety. But when I am going through a really emotional day, I cut out everything that I was once addicted to because I know how it can spiral back into that addiction. But it took me years to get to that point. And so again, when I lost my train of thought, I was talking about my therapist. My therapist is the one who coached me to the place where I am now, to be strong enough to stand on my own and see my triggers and then, deal with them as they come. Like I can recognize and I can identify my triggers that sends me into a dark place. And so the things that kept me in that dark place. Remember the alcohol, the drugs, the abuse of alcohol, the abuse of the prescription drugs, the abuse of overeating, the abuse of sex. Did you know that sex can also be a self-medication? Sex with multiple partners, unprotected sex with multiple partners, having all these babies by different baby daddies and different baby mamas, self-medicating because you really don't want to deal with the fact that you don't value yourself enough to know that you can do better, that you can live better, that you don't have to be in this place. You don't have to be used and abused. Self-medicating. Like there's all kinds of things people can take that was once meant for good and abuse it. And use it for a not so good thing. You know what I'm saying? And so my therapist helped me get to this place of emotional healing by first identifying where my weaknesses were. And that's what Matters in My Heart do. We talk about those things that are triggers for you. And then we come up with ways to combat them, like how we're going to fight against that. So I know what my weaknesses are. I'm able to build a good strategy plan, right? Yes, sex can be a self-medicating tool that people use. You see it mostly, and I was about to say you see it mostly with men, but then there's a lot of women who do it as well. Men get away with it more because of the way society don't hold them accountable for being a hoe. Just gonna keep it real. Society really don't call a man for being a hoe. A girl can be a whore. She sleep with too many multiple partners and men look down on her. Now they'll tap it, but they won't make her wife material because she's slept with all these other. But then a man can sleep with all these different women, and it's okay, like he's the man or something like that. It's ridiculous. But in actuality, the reason why he sleeps with woman after woman after woman, because he don't respect women, and there's a reason why he don't respect women. Either his mother didn't raise him, or he was raised in an environment where his mother wasn't respected. So he wasn't taught how to respect a woman. And so thus, he doesn't respect them. There's no connection when he sleeps with woman after woman after woman. And he'll say what he needs to say in order to get between those legs. He's self-medicating versus dealing with the fact that his mother abandoned him when he was a baby, or dealing with the fact that his mother was abused and he grew up in an abusive home. So there's a reason, like there's always a why behind everything. And I've always been that curious person to find out, well, why do people do this? Why do people do that? In my own brain, I had to put together why I made some of the decisions that I made. Sex was a self-medicating thing for me too. I said that earlier in the broadcast. So again, how do you get from that place of darkness to the place where you're loving yourself and knowing that you're worthy to be loved? You ask for help. You reach out to a professional, someone who is where you're trying to go. Not someone who's in the same place with you and say, girl, we can get through this together. No. We both hurt. Two injured people can't carry each other. Like, no. The Bible says that the strong will bear the infirmities of the weak. So you reach out to someone who is where you're trying to get to and allow them to guide you to that place. That's what this month is about. How did I get from that place to this? I'm telling you, I asked for help. But in the moment that I didn't ask for, that I refused to ask for help, the moments that I refused to let anybody in because I didn't want anyone to know how really effed up I really was. So I kept all this stuff inside and I started self-medicating myself. I started emotionally cutting myself. I started doing all these things, being promiscuous and sneaking around and all this kind of thing, like making the most stupidest decisions you will ever even imagine, because I didn't want people to really, really see that I was an injured little girl, that I was bruised and broken. Until I hit rock bottom. And I'll tell you about that rock bottom on another broadcast because we are running out of time. Yes. So thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for everyone who's watching the replay. I really appreciate you. I'm excited, and I hope that I'm saying something that's helping you along the way, that something that I've gone through. If I can just help someone not go through what I had gone through, if I can prevent you from going down that long road, then I've done my job, and then I'll be so happy. So share this broadcast, invite someone tomorrow. I love you guys, and good night.